Today I wanted to talk to you about iTTi, the organization I work for, and you're probably wondering what we do here. iTTi stands for International TEFL Training Organization, and we train individuals with an excellent command of English to become English teachers and help them to make the connection between the training and the schools so they land the jobs they really would like to have. Now, who am I? My name is Adriana Blumberg, and I am the academic director of iTTi, International TEFL Training Institute. I have been a TEFL trainer since 2000 and have been training many students to become English teachers in New York. They work all around the world now and are employed in the most prestigious places you could possibly imagine. If I think about, as an example, Yale University or King's Sword University or the University of Oman. So I think we have been very successful in that. Now, what about me as a TEFL trainer? What's my qualification to do that? Well, I graduated with a master's degree from a German university and then started in the German high school system as an English teacher. And I had been teaching there for quite a number of years before I eventually came to the US, and here I worked in the private sector, and I also owned different English schools where eventually the TEFL training was born many years ago. We are the largest TEFL training organization. We are represented in many countries around the world. If I have to give you a number, it's definitely over 50. As such, people come up with questions and they want to know who is behind iTTi. And today I wanted to use this little session here to give you those answers. What is the difference between TEFL, TESOL and CELTA? Let's have a look at it. TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. TESOL stands for Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, and CELTA stands for Certificate of English Language Teaching to Adults. In essence, if you look at these acronyms and you know what they mean, you will quickly realize that they are the same, with very slight differences. The difference being that TEFL and TESOL cover not only adults but also teaching children in their courses, whereas the CELTA course is strictly for adult teaching. And here is the major difference between those types of courses. What I wanted to do is compare the three programs out there. The Trinity TESOL Certificate course, Cambridge CELTA, and then the iTTi TEFL TESOL Certification course. Let's get started with Trinity and with CELTA, Cambridge CELTA. So if I look at the course write-up here, in essence they are very similar, with the difference being that Trinity has a foreign language experience separately listed here, whereas in the CELTA course they do that in a very fast way, just giving the students some exposure to a foreign language, but not using it to learn important details for their teaching practice. The only purpose here is to have them feel how EFL students feel. So that's done in a very short way, whereas Trinity pays a little bit more attention to that. In terms of the other content, they are very similar, and both of them require 6 days of, or 6 classes of observed teaching practice, and both courses run 4 weeks as an intensive program. Now, if I look at the requirements here, with CELTA you have to be 20, with the Trinity course you can study starting at the age of 18. And the requirements for English, so they accept non-native speakers, they have to have a C1 level in English, and they assess the level through a little test, and they have an interview. The test would be for non-native speakers. If you are a native speaker, they engage you in interviews and talk about your goals in terms of teaching, and in that way they assess your language level. Okay, so what about the iTTi TEFL TESOL course? Well, in what way do we stand out? Well, there are certain areas. Number one is that in terms of our content, we use textbooks from acclaimed colleges in teacher training over here in the US. Our textbooks are written by top-notch authors in the EFL training industry, or teacher training industry. That's number one. Number two, if we have a look at the foreign language journal, not only do we expose our prospective teacher trainees to a foreign language, we also use that moment to teach them a method other than the one we actually teach on the course. Just as Trinity, CELTA, we also teach CLT, communicative language teaching. In our foreign language journal, we do an analysis that helps students understand in which sequence they have to teach a language, and they also learn another method, the direct method. Why do we do that? For a teacher, it is very good if they have quite a number of methods available, not only one. Let's say my students have to learn, my English students, they have to learn the gerund. That's usually very difficult. However, if I use the direct method, which is very intensive, my students go home and they know the subject matter. And we want our teacher trainees to understand that they can quickly adjust to the classroom needs and turn around to help their EFL students. And that is what makes a teacher really great. Looking at the hours of teaching practice, the observed hours, we have 6 also. What would be a difference? Well, we give our English classes away for free to students who really want to learn English and very often don't have the finances to pay for them. So in other words, we do something for the community by giving them access to language training, which some of them would never get because they don't have the income in order to do that. So that would be another difference. Let me point out one more thing, which I don't want to forget to say. The CELTA course is Certificate of English Language Teaching for Adults. We, in our iTTi TEFL course, we teach adults. We also talk about teaching teenagers, and we talk about teaching the young learner and the very young learner. So in that way, you see that there are differences between those 3 courses. And I wanted to mention something at the end of that question here. It's always important, the result is always important in life. We learn that again and again. So I wanted to mention again our students who found marvelous jobs in the EFL teaching industry. And let me come back to the beginning when I said that one of our students found a job or was hired for a job at Yale University in the international summer program. Now, I'm sure they got lots of resumes because that's a prestigious job you can have if you have that on your resume. So why did they hire our student, the graduate from iTTi, and why didn't they hire other candidates who may have come from the other course providers? So here you can see that the result speaks volumes. Our teachers are good, and I personally stand behind each and every of our students in New York. And I want them to be the best of the best. And that's why we take very much care of them, and we study a lot to make them the best of the best. And that is what English language schools or universities or whatever, or whoever is out there who wants to hire an English teacher, they want the best of the best. And we are going to give that to them. One word about quality of the program. Looking back, we trained a French minister who came and wanted to participate in the United Nations with a talk. And so our school was selected to help him with his English. And we did. The other thing I wanted to mention here, and I think I said it earlier already, that our graduates get remarkable jobs. And looking at an example, one of our graduates who works in Riyadh at the university, I am sure that with the compensation they offer to English teachers, that they had many candidates for that position. However, our graduate got the job. And again, I understand that they don't give the job to somebody who doesn't know what they are talking about. So I see that as a result of our excellent work in training teachers. And I could come up with many more examples, which I don't want to do here due to the time we have available to be together. Now, what is another advantage of our program? It is the price. Now, usually when we have a program that is more or less inexpensive, we think about, oh, that cannot really be good. But our objective is to make this program available to everybody, including those who don't have so much money. And here is the reason why around the world iTTi courses are offered at a really affordable price for everyone. And the course is the same, no matter where you go, whether it's North Africa, it's South America. For those who have more doubts, I can assure everybody here proudly that from all our graduates, 99% or even 100% got a job. And those who don't work is because they didn't want to work right away. They wanted to wait some time. They had other plans, wanted to finish college. So that is what I have to say here. And let's look at employers. At one time, I made the effort to call school directors and I asked them, so what are you looking for in a successful candidate? And of course, they told me, incorporated that into our program. And here's also another reason why nobody in all these years came back and said, oh, I wasn't accepted because I have an iTTi certificate. In fact, over the years, our graduates have proven to be valuable employees who are an asset to every school due to their knowledge, and they are welcome to the schools in the world. One more thing about our program. I said it, I called school directors in order to find out what they are looking for in their teachers, what is important to them. And so over time, our program has become a modern program. We have adjusted our program to the needs of our schools today. What are they looking for in an English teacher? And that's what we do. So our program is not 100 years old. It has been updated over time and responds to the needs of the 21st centuries. And one more word about the British Council and the UK government. I wanted to say something here. The British Council, just like we are, is a private organization, and it follows the guidelines of the British government. In fact, so are we. We have a school in the UK and we follow the guidelines of the British government. So in essence, it's exactly the same. The only thing that we are the new kid on the block, meaning being around for 20 or more years, whereas the British Council has been around for 100 years. So that's the difference between the two organizations. Talking about the British Council and iTTi. The British Council is a private organization of the United Kingdom, and they follow government regulations closely. So are we. We are also a private organization, iTTi, in the UK, and we follow their regulations. On top of it, we are also a private organization in the US, and we follow the regulations of the United States. So in essence, both are private organizations and have to adhere to government regulations. The question now is who validates the program? Looking at Trinity, their course is a creation of Trinity University. Looking at Cambridge, Cambridge University created this course. And looking at the British Council, they use the Cambridge course, and obviously they have the certificate of Cambridge. Now, what about the iTTi TESOL Certification program? It is a creation of our academic department, and it is endorsed and recognized and or validated by many universities. And here is how we distinguish ourselves from the others. Is there a conflict between universities and TEFL providers? There is. And I can assure you that all of our TEFL graduates found positions, and looking at the length of our program, we train them to be teachers within 4 weeks. Whereas if they go to university, they have to sit there at least 12 months. Now, don't get me wrong. to go for a master's degree in teaching is something very good, and I encourage everyone out there to complete their career with that. But what about those who just started out and they want to get a feel for this job and see whether it's right for them? The TEFL program is just perfect for them, because in a very short amount of time it gives them the skills they need to have to fully function in the field, meaning in EFL schools. And insofar, our iTTi program is actually very competitive, and universities may not like to see you making a comparison between them and our program, because they know that. Are we the only TEFL training provider? Of course not. There are many TEFL organizations out there, and each one is independent. They are not regulated by the British Council, and we are not regulated by the British Council. The British Council has TEFL training itself, so how would they regulate other TEFL training providers if in essence they are competitors of them, including Trinity and Cambridge? They all have their own program, and nobody out there regulates the other one. In terms of TEFL organization, of course, we are the largest. We are in many countries, and in some countries we are the only ones who are there. So who is behind our certificate? Let's have a look at that. There's a lot of weight to it, and all of that is behind our certificate. Let's have a closer look. So here we have an example of our certificate. Let's have a look at it. It comes with a US seal, and there is an authenticity sticker in it, so that means it's the original certificate. Also, you have here the student ID number. If schools contact us to find out whether the certificate is a good one, they list the student number here, and with that student number we can look up the name of the graduate. We have the two signatures here of executives of our company, and that would take care of the certificate. Next, we have a transcript here. Very often schools ask for transcripts. They want to see how the graduate or the candidate performed during the TEFL course. Considering that the TEFL course for some of you out there is the first moment where you get experience in the teaching field, they want to see how you did. And you have performance rating here, and then you have all these companies listed. We are member or companies and organization listed we are members of, or the ones who validate us. So that is here. Let's go to the next document that goes with international quality assurance. We have here the apostille you can get from the United States, and it makes then your certificate an official document throughout the world, meaning an official US document. This we can get for you. However, it takes a couple of days until you will be able to get it, as it has to go through government institutions. Plus, you can get an apostille for your certificate. The apostille is from the State Department of New York, and it makes your certificate an official US document, valid throughout the world. What that means is you can only get that from an officially registered legal US company. The State Department would never ever do it for an organization that is number one outside the US, and then number two not officially registered in the US. So we highly recommend this document simply because you can use it for university applications. You can use it in order to get your visa. There are many ways, or there are many instances where you have to prove that the document is an official document. And some schools today, they even ask their candidates for these proofs, and that is, if you get that ahead of time, will not create further questions. In summary, as you can see from our presentations here and the many documents I showed you, our company is a real company for real people out there who want to become English teachers, and there is no way that one school in this world would say, no, we don't accept you. That doesn't exist. So I can only encourage you to come forward to take the training with us, and we'll do our best to make you the best of the best. Thank you.